Good morning, good evening, or good night to the lovely people watching. Today, in this video, we will be speaking about investing into yourself. And you might be thinking, but I've seen so many videos on the internet before about investing into yourself. What I feel like someone of these YouTubers, influencers, or whatever you call it, are missing is something I'd like to speak about in today's video. They say, invest into your health, invest into your mental health. I feel like many of them are just going on a rant on sort of different things. I'll give you a few examples throughout this video. I'll help you. For example, one thing that I started to really invest into is healthcare. For example, I have right beside me a sort of personal custom bag of medicine. This personal bag of mine is just dedicated for myself. Of course, I will at some point buy a first aid kit and walk around with that. And second of all, I'm going to be starting to take courses. I'm going to be watching videos, and at some point I'm going to be taking physical courses, when I don't know, in order to invest into myself and invest into others by taking first aid classes. Like, okay, when you arrive on a scene, what's the first thing that's gonna happen? Oh, cool, I've already practiced this. I know what I should do before the ambulance, the healthcare professionals come. The reason I'm doing this is because I feel like, for my own sake, there's not enough knowledge about first aid out there. I've experienced many situations in my work life, for example, where just out of pure instinct, I've taken leadership. Not to boast my own ego by saying, oh, I remember it was a specific lady that collapsed on the floor, and I was the first to being called into the situation. Bam! I did this. I told that person to call emergency service. I told this person to stay by her side, and I said to my coworker, you go to the cash register and aid when it starts to become a lineup. And it just sort of felt natural. And I'm not here to boast my own ego by sitting and telling like, cool, this figured out. I would also recommend, for your own sake, that you should buy your own first aid kit. You should also have a personal healthcare system. Like, for example, like if you got any allergies, like bring that medication with you in a small bag, in a small backpack, and bring it everywhere you go. Not for the being paranoia's sake, but being a reasonable and young adult as we are. I think for our own sake, it's very important to bring this sort of things around with us in case something were to happen, so we are prepared. First aid kit and a personal bag is something I'd recommend. And I'm not saying that buy this item, buy that item, buy this item. Just, if you got some allergies, create your own sort of personal bag. First aid kit usually comes with everything that you usually need when you arrive at a scene, like bandages, what is this called again? Puricept, antibacterial and stuff like that, inflammation, what is it called? Painkillers and stuff like that can ease the pain and help someone else. The second thing I'd like to speak about is footwear. This is maybe for someone that's a little older than me. Let's say you are in your 30s or your 40s. The shoes you've been wearing for the past 2 years or decade, honestly, I'd recommend buying. This is out of just pure own experience. So I would recommend going to a physiotherapist, asking for information, doing some research in order to get the right sort of footwear for yourself. Unless you already have the knowledge of, I know that my feet work best with this sort of flat shoes or this sort of system of shoes. If you have that sort of system, good, great. But invest into yourself with the knowledge of, cool, I should seek out a physiotherapist in order to get the right footwear if you don't have the knowledge. And every other year, every 2 years, when there's wear and tear on the shoes and you're starting to feel that, okay, these have served their purpose, donate them to some Goodwill or go to a recycling bin and throw them out and buy yourself a new pair. And you might be thinking at this point, how is this investing into yourself? You're investing into your health because the right footwear has a lot of effect on your knees, your lower back, your upper back, and it depends on your job too. Information that I was actually given a long time ago when I started my first job, first 9 to 5, was throughout your work career, always have 2 pair of shoes at work. And I was like, 2 pair of shoes? Why would I need that at work? Because throughout the day, you should have variation by shifting so your feet can have a sort of a healthy way in order to cope for whatever you want to call it. Medication, first aid, and then shoes. The third thing is your physical body overall. I've spoken about it several times in almost maybe in every single video. Going to the gym. And now I'm not saying going to the gym for building muscle. Everyone goes to the gym for different reasons. I go to the gym to build my, well, first of all, career and build strength and get the body that I've always wanted. And that's something that I am aspiring for personally. But that's a me investment. I mean, for your own investment is maybe for investing into your social skills. And hold on, when you go to the gym, most likely at some type of point, you're bound to speak to someone. And by speaking with someone, no matter how tall, big, out of shape, in shape, or what kind of human being you're speaking with, you will interact with human beings and you will invest into your social skills by speaking with someone. But the great thing about the gym is that if you make a fool out of yourself by making the wrong joke or lifting wrong or failing or whatever, no one really bats an eye, no one really gives a shit because everyone is so preoccupied of focusing on their own life. That's another just a little off topic I'd like to bring in. My generation, I sound old as fuck when I say that, but my generation is so preoccupied of worrying about other people that they have a tendency to forget about themselves in a way that stop focusing on what Jack over there thinks about you. If they like you for who you are, that's good, nothing wrong with that. But if Jack does not like you, 99% of the time, people that dislike you for obvious or different reasons will avoid you. People that dislike you won't really seek you out. They will just speak behind your back. There's a reason they are behind you. But don't think about it. You need to focus on your own life and you need to be dedicated and focus on your own life and fix the shit that is in front of you. And second of all, in the gym is that when it comes to the gym as another investment, stretching on a daily basis. If you have a 9 to 5 where you are standing all day long, if you're a 9 to 5 where you sit down all day, or you're a construction worker, or in general, whatever your career you've chosen, stretching out is something I would highly recommend as investing into your future self. Because down the line, I've seen many people, and I've spoken to many people too, where I've asked, if there's one thing you could change differently, what would that be? Live life as I want to and have more mobility. And you'll be surprised that when you spend 5 to 10 minutes, maybe even 15 minutes every single day stretching out, you're investing into your future self by not having that stiff back, having that stiff neck, because you did the exercises to avoid those. Another investment is this, your brain. And you might be thinking, my brain? But I use that on a daily basis. How can I invest into my brain? Reading, meditating. And those 2 things right there. Meditating over the course of hundreds of years, from ancient Greece to ancient Rome to Japan's at their best, like the samurai and stuff like that. Take Musashi Miyamoto, one of the greatest samurais that ever lived, meditated. Books about self-improvement. The Book of Five Rings and The Mountain is You are two books I would recommend buying and reading. And you can call it whatever you want, that it's just a book. But you would be astonished and surprised the amount of times that I've been told from influencers, entrepreneurs, and people that are above me in life in different areas said, I recommend you read this book. When you take action by thinking, okay, this book might actually help me. Not every single book is worth it, because I've read a few books that I thought, okay, I read this book several times. I don't feel like this book has helped me. Maybe not at this point in life, maybe later on in life when I pick up the book again and read. But a few books have actually helped me for now. The Book of Five Rings and The Mountain is You are two books that I'm reading on that has really changed my perspective. The Mountain is You, for example, goes into depth about psychology, about how self-sabotage works, how coping mechanism works, and how you can better yourself as a human being. That most obstacles in life is just in here. Meditating, taking a step back and breathing is also a form of investment I would like to speak about. Taking 2 minutes out of your daily life, or 10 minutes when you're an expert or whatever, by just it does something to your nervous system, your brain. I don't remember the psychological term for it, but that's something I really recommend, because it has helped me a lot. I remember in many situations, for example, at work, if I am in a situation, imagine this is Karen, this is me. Karen is going on, we don't have this product, whatever the fuck it is. At times, I've actually taken a physical step back and just done this, even though the person is watching. And then get into customer service mode and just like, I apologize, but this and this. By doing that, you may, in the moment, seem just, what the fuck are you doing? But you're doing that for your own sake because, well, I mean, shit. There's a lot of dumb motherfuckers out there. So if you just are the better and bigger person by taking a step back and just, okay, I just don't want to act on emotion. I don't want to be an asshole. So I'm just going to take a step back and breathe. Speaking of being around assholes, you should set boundaries and you should learn to say no. Learn to say no and set boundaries. How is that investing into yourself? I feel like these advice that you're giving me in this video are just common sense. You would be surprised. The amount of time it took me to learn these sort of things. When I started to do these things, just a little side rant. When I started to invest into myself with healthcare, journaling, meditating, and training, and doing the things that specifically are aligned with my goals and excelling in my areas of life and living the life that I want to, not according to everyone else, but my own life, I quickly realized I lost so many friends. I have hold myself accountable when I say this. I have lost relationships. I have fucked out friendships. I have walked away in many situations because I put down boundaries, but I did it for me. Whenever you are standing in a situation where your moral compass, your boundaries, or someone overstepping a line is being challenged, or you feel like someone is doing something that is wrong in your perspective, speak your mind. Do not hold on to regret. Do not act on emotions, and stay realistically in many situations. shoot, I nearly slipped off where we were. But setting boundaries and saying no is maybe one of the biggest things that is important for you. Like, okay, I'll take an example, but this is an example from a friend of mine. One of my friends has autism, and this person has a tendency to not really be at the greatest. I word this from my own perspective and from this person's own words. This person is autistic and has sometimes hard times understanding social cues, is what I'm trying to say. And there's nothing wrong with that. However, even though this person is autistic, still a human being with their own feelings, with their own emotions, own thought process, just a little different from you and I. I remember it was me, another friend, a mutual friend of ours, and then our artistic friend. I'm just going to keep this short and simple for you to understand boundaries. I have my own moral rules and my own boundaries. The same goes for my autistic friend, and most likely the same goes for our old mutual friend. I just remember that I have known my autistic friend longer than our mutual friend has. So we were at our autistic friend's place, and my friend has fucking amazing collection. I mean, his Warhammer collection is bigger than mine. And I was astounded to the amount of details, the amount of boxes, the amount of investments, and for his own sake. Since I know him pretty well, I was allowed to hold different objects, different sealed products and stuff like that. Our mutual friend was disrespectful because when a person invites you into their home, that is something amazing because they're taking time and effort and showing their place where they live in a daily life. Not only are they opening a door for you, they're actually inviting you into their heart by saying, hey, cool, look at this, something I feel comfortable with. Our mutual friend was disrespectful in a way that, you're a nerd. Like, bro, what the fuck is this? You paint like small plastic minifigures? Are you a child? I remember that my autistic friend felt uncomfortable in this situation. So I took it in my own hands, but at the time I acted and responded with emotions. But in my perspective, I feel like I actually did the right thing because I stood up for my friend to a certain degree. I could have done it differently, but honestly, I'm just glad this person, this asshole, is out of the picture. I said, you can just leave if you're going to be like this. Because we both know that, we'll just call him our artistic friend, we'll call him Jack. We both know that Jack is autistic and has problems saying things. So I'm just going to go out of my way and just say it for his behalf. Maybe wrong or whatever the fuck it is. Something along those lines. But we're showing our interest to you and you're just judging it based on 15 seconds of seeing a collection without going into detail. You can just leave. And after that, the friendship just ended. Because I spoke with my Jack later on and he was thankful to a certain extent, but I also told him you need to choose your friends wisely, who you choose to sit at your dinner table. I was like, well, I just don't want assholes in your life and I don't want assholes in my life either, unless they have such a degree of friendship. And I can also bring that in, invest into right sort of friendship. Imagine a dining hall where there's 4 seats. One is occupied, that is basically you, that's your throne. And then you have 3 other reserved seats. whoever you choose to dine with you is someone that should impact you in a good way. We've seen all these influencers speak about, oh, you should invest into your friends wisely because you don't should have someone that drags you down, or so you should always have friends that are literally aspiring in life, makes you grow. I mean, fuck. If we're going to be realistically and honestly, you choose your friends whoever the fuck they're gonna be. For example, I have a friend of mine, can sit at my table any day, is the complete fucking opposite of me. I mean, not as handsome, not going to the gym, not doing anything in life. I'm just fucking with you. The person is complete opposite from me, but I still keep in my life because shit, we need each other. If there's one thing I hate about social media, side rant, is that it's a neurological attack on our brain that every single time we scroll, every single new influencer we're watching, it tampers with our perspective about life in general, because at times we become blind by letting social media get to us. One influence says invest into portfolio, invest into 401. Another one can say invest into crypto. And every single time you're presented with a new option, it fucks with you because you're thinking that, oh, maybe I'm stuck behind in this rat race, they keep calling it. And I stumbled upon a video one time that said you should invest into these sort of friends and you should remove these sort of friends. Everything even I say should be taken with a grain of salt. That means that not every information on the internet is true. I have a very small social circle. I hang out with many different sort of people, but if I were to hang out with someone for several hours, I got maybe 5 close friends and that's it. I don't need 15, 20, or 30 people to make me whole. I only need 5. 5 people I can rely on, no matter what sort of situation. We have each other's backs. Brotherhood and sisterhood, as I actually like to call it. And that's another thing. Your type of friends. I don't give a fuck about the gender about my damn friends. And I'm going to be bluntly saying this. I don't care about the color of someone's skin, the gender someone identifies, someone's perspective about life. I have a bro that is the equivalent of 1 step away from being put into the mental institute. But he's the best motherfucker I know. Call him at 3 a.m. and say, bro, I'm standing in a situation where I'm knee deep. I need someone back to go swinging without question. The location and time. I have a friend of mine. Excuse me. That is, yeah, not gonna lie, gay. I have another friend of mine that's lesbian. I have another dude of mine that is Arabic. And I'm not gonna say this by like, oh, I'm gonna find this sort of specific person. But I would like to have a transgender friend. I'm going out of my way and saying I would like to have a transgender friend because it would be uniquely, it would make me happy. And I would like to also have a conversation with a transgender person. And you can go out of your fucking way by losing your mind by saying, but, because of religion or whatever you believe in, if you believe in whatever you want, no matter what, I'm going on a side rant here, no matter what you believe in, if you are a Muslim, a Christian, transgender person, liberal, a feminine, or I don't know, whatever the fuck it is, As long as your moral compass is right and your heart is in the right place and you respect other human beings for who they are, we're good. Because the reason I would like a transgender friend, for example, and the reason I'm actually going to the Pride Parade this year is because, I mean, shit, I'm curious. I would like to have a conversation with a human being that has chosen these sort of aspects of life. Because I'm a human, I'm just a curious soul in general. I would like to gather information like a um, one of those special kids that goes around collecting rocks. And I find it fascinating. I've never understood it, but as I just grow older, I find it fascinating what kind of decisions people make in life. And investing into friends is maybe one of the most important, things you can actually do, because you're choosing people around you in general who is going to be with you towards the end. And if, let's say, you have a friendship that lasted many, many years and you outgrew each other, that is part of life in general, because when you grow older, you'll lose connections, you'll gain connections, people come and go out of your life. If there's one thing I would like you to understand is family, for me, is my moral compass, and moral number one is that family comes above everything. If I'm at work, for example, my mom calls, I pick up, Mom, I work, you need something? No, it's okay, I'm just checking in. Okay, cool. If my mom said, ex-family members in the hospital, location and time, I don't give a fuck if I'm in the middle of my damn shift, I don't give a fuck about work. I can be planning my vacation. I can be, I don't know, up north in my country. I can be on the other side of the the continent, the world. If I get a text message, a conversation, or an invoice from my family member says this family member is injured, okay, cool, we're going back home. Simple as that. I can give a written warning at work that, oh, you just left in the middle of your shift. I don't give a fuck, because family comes first. Apologize, I started to side rant a little bit, but I feel like this perspective is also important. I'm not speaking for anyone when I give this advice. I'm just speaking out of personal experiences, stories that have been told me, and things I'd like to tell you that might help you down the line. Another thing I'd like to tell you about, and I'm not saying you should do it, but you should have healthy coping mechanisms. The reason I'm bringing autistic friends, ADHD, or people that are going, they label it, they call it mental illnesses, but I just call it superpowers because I find it the most interesting and fascinating. People with ADHD, ADD, BPD, or any sort of mental illness, as for them to be functioning in society, many of them have coping mechanisms. And if you're a normal human being, or whatever the fuck is defined normal nowadays, you should have your own actually coping mechanisms. And I do not care how old you are watching me. This advice will help you. Stressful as life is, as much as things can be overwhelming, you should have your own safety mechanisms. My safety mechanism is, if shit gets too overwhelming for my own mind, I've dug myself knee deep in a hole. All right, what do we do? Well, for me, I usually draw. In order to just get this either pent up frustration, confusion, stress out of my system, because I'm redirecting my focus towards something else that means something for me. And when I'm able to redirect my focus into just something else, I know it's in the back of my mind, but I'm just going to draw until I'm tired of it, or until I drop this pen. When I get back to the moment, I have a more calm mind, more realistically point of view, and I'm thinking with the noggin, okay, so I'm stressing about my finance situation. I'm stressing about my love life. All right. For the sake of me, what should come first? That's also an interesting thing I'd like to bring into. My I learned this from an old friend back in the day. Whenever you ask yourself a question, if it's on a piece of paper or someone else asking you or you asking yourself, the first answer that is automatically given towards you is usually right. Not 100% of the time, but let's say, should I focus on just ask yourself this question, and the first answer that's given to you without thinking is an exercise that I usually do, gives me just a better perspective in order to, instead of just digging myself a hole in order to overthink. Okay. Right now, I am in a financial situation and I also have a problem with my love life. What should I fix first? Finance. Okay, I didn't even think. Finance is a situation I need to fix first. So then I would go to my lover or wife or whatever, that I understand we have complications and we're having an argument, but as of now, my finance situation, because of this and this bill, I need to attend to, I need to work a little extra bit, and I need to cover a few extra shifts. Simple as that. Maybe simple as that being literally being said, but when it comes to the situation itself, it will be completely different. However, it was just more of an example to give you a perspective that, oh, okay, I need to focus on this and that. One last thing, while I remember it. Investing into yourself is most likely will be the most important thing you'll ever do in your life. Future you will be thankful. You aspiring to get your dream job. For example, does your dream require school? Yes. Okay, well, shit, then you better spend the next 2, 3 years or 5 years of your life going to school to get your dreams. Does your dream require school? No. Work, aspire for your dreams. As simple as that. I understand that if your parents say you need to get an education towards your dreams. If you don't want to go to school, don't waste your time taking different courses by wasting time. If you already know where you want to go in life, head for it. It will be up and down like a roller coaster. And the same goes for if you're unsure where you are in life. What am I supposed to do? I am 24, I'm just working, I don't know what I want to do out of my life. Here's advice that was given to me. Live life. I am 23 and I already know where I want to go in life. There are days where I'm unsure as shit and I self-sabotage and I'm just thinking, do I really want to do this for the next 40 years? Oops. But I already know that I would like to do this for the next 4 years because that's something I could see myself doing. And here's something I feel like a lot of influencers are kind of fucking us over with. I'm going to word it a little differently in order for you to get better understanding. We need work. Oh shit, that's my alarm. Hold on. I didn't realize that I've been sitting here for half an hour and it's 6 a.m. in the morning. Last point anyway, because I'm starting to see that my attention span and I'm starting to be a little restless, so I'm going to say this quick. Working a 9 to 5 in order to have an income. If you start to make money online and you're starting to see that, oh, okay, this exceeds my paycheck, I'm not going to give any more advice than that. But work in a job that you like, minimum pay or minimum wage, as long as you have an income to pay for the roof above your head, the food in your fridge. We need to live, so we need to work. And that's basically it. Find your dream job, aspire as best as you can, but we also need to work in a place in order to get money. Personal advice: if your job is starting to take a heavy toll on your mental health, change the work immediately. Do everything in your capacity to get the fuck out of there. Because your workplace is just to make there for your money. You're not a family, you're just there to make money. That's the reality of it. Speaking from personal experience, if the work environment is taking a heavy toll on your mental health, get out of there. Start a new place. Do everything you can. Go on a sick leave. Do whatever it requires of you in order to get out of there. Because if it starts draining your mental health, you're not performing at the level you used to, something internally is most likely going on. And I'm not saying that that is the answer. And I take everything I say with a grain of salt and use the advice that's been given to you wisely. But I had a personal experience. I worked in a place that literally sucked the living energy out of me like a hole on the street sucks dick. It sucked my soul out. Every single day was just like, when I stepped foot in that work environment, I'm like my energy flew out the window. The moment I stepped into the workplace, I was just like, I could have the best day of my life. Top notch. Energy level, finance wise, or relationship wise, or I got laid half an hour before I'm going to work, I'm relaxed and whatever. But the immediate time I stepped into that work environment, goodbye. That was the point I realized I need to get out of here. So I quit. For the sake of me. Doing things for the sake of you, yourself, is important too. Don't stick around in a relationship. And another one last advice. It's better to be single, wishing you were in a relationship, than being in a relationship wishing you were single. Nothing furthermore. It is you versus you. Fuck everyone else. It's been the longest 40 minutes of my life. But seek guidance when you need. Take care.